The Election Commission's meeting with various social media representatives today to look at how they can tackle issues like fake news and how they can also bring these social media platforms under the model code of conduct. Remember, all this time you've had mainstream television, print media, other media, political parties, of course, that come under the ambit of this code, and we have to strictly follow it. But social media is a completely different animal altogether, and that is why the Chief Election Commissioner today did talk to representatives from Facebook, Google, Twitter, WhatsApp, etc. on what they can do to be brought on board. In fact, the EC's press release says that these are formidable force multipliers, and they need to come up with a similar code for the ongoing election process in the immediate context, as well as a lasting document in the long run. Remember, we've got maybe some 200 million plus WhatsApp users in India. That's a pretty big number of people who are on WhatsApp. Statistics put the number of Twitter users at over 30 million. It's not as high as WhatsApp, but many people are calling this India's WhatsApp election. Can the Election Commission do something about that? We've got Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, the former Chief Election Commissioner, here in the studio with us. Also with us, Jency Jacob, the Managing Editor of Boom Live, which is doing some terrific fact-checking work online. And Mr. Malu, the Head of Public Policy and Corporate Affairs at ShareChat, is here in the studio with us, as well as Priyanka Chaturvedi and Vineet Goenka. I'd like to ask Dr. Qureshi first. What can the CEC, what can the Election Commission actually do? Because it's not that easy to regulate social media.
Quite right. Actually, for the last 7-8 years, this debate has been going on that Election Commission cannot do anything. But that doesn't mean that Election Commission should keep quiet. Because for Election Commission, the bottom line is that social media is also media. And whatever applies to media must apply to social media. Now, in the Election Commission context, what applies to the media? One, expenditure control. Secondly, the content control. Every money that your political party or candidate spend on social media or any other media, they have to account for it. So it's simple. Secondly, the content has to be regulated. But the fact that some of the social media is anonymous and it is difficult to catch. But difficulty of catching doesn't mean that the Election Commission should overlook it, because it is difficult to catch a terrorist. We have been putting heads together to find a solution. It is difficult to catch any criminal. But so slowly, gradually, they are coming around to some unanimity that there will be some ways that it has to be controlled. But and already some ground has been covered that all political advertisements will have to be vetted by the Media Monitoring Committee.
I think political advertisements is one thing, and the concern, Dr. Qureshi, as you know, is just like fake news, fake WhatsApp forwards. Now, how is the EC going to monitor something like that? You know, the EC has said it wants platforms to educate users about fake news, and that's obviously a good thing to do.
Correct.
But it may not actually stop the spread of it.
Well, it may not, because obviously it is very, very difficult at the moment, almost impossible. That's why it is discussing with all the platforms. They will come out with technological solution to do something about it. For instance, WhatsApp. Earlier, you could forward message any hundreds of times. Now
there's a limit.
Now there is a limit of 5. High. No, it is high, but at least it becomes a little restrictive. So just as they came up with this solution, the fact that WhatsApp was refusing to talk about it 5 years ago,
and now it's being forced to.
They're discussing.
So I want to ask Mr. Malu here that can you just tell our viewers very briefly what ShareChat is? Because my dad is definitely going to lecture me later and say, for God's sake, tell me what ShareChat is, and then explain to me the difficulties of actually regulating content on it.
Sure. So ShareChat is an Indian language social media platform, and we have today 45 million users in India. We are only available in Indian languages. We don't have an English option on our platform, and that makes us, with 45 million users, we are bigger than Twitter today in India. The problem about fake news is that content such as fake news or content that is not healthy for the platform is generally also the content that tends to be the most viral. And dealing with this kind of content is difficult, because once it goes off the platform or once it's on the platform, more people download it, more people want to share it, and you can take down one piece of content and the same thing comes up again, right? And it's going to be a challenge for most platforms to deal with that kind of problems. But we are looking forward to ensuring that these elections are fought fairly. The EC is going to reach out to us and let us know content that they feel is inappropriate or inaccurate. And we have promised that we'll take down such content within 3 hours.
Are you being able to fact check what's going up?
We have tied up with a fact checking organization for 5 languages, but it's also difficult to find folks who will fact check in languages like, say, Bhojpuri. right? You also need to find a journalist who will be able to, or former journalist who will be able to do that. But we are looking towards ensuring that all our languages today are fact-checked across, the platform.
So, Jansi, just, we talked about this last week as well when you were on and looking at the challenges of actually regulating this. Your thoughts on this today, the Election Commission wanting grievance officers, a mechanism to deal with online abuse, educating users about fake news, etc., a code of ethics to be set up. Now, is this doable, is my question.
So Nidhi, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and while I have great respect for the Election Commission, what I would like to say is that they will be in for a rude shock. Pardon me for saying this so bluntly, but we've been tracking social media and especially Facebook pages and posts for the last 2 years. I cannot explain the kind of surprises that that political posts and political IT cells have thrown at us. Every time we feel that that we have managed to pull down something, we see that there are several hundreds of other posts, other pages that actually throw that up, and which is why Facebook is also battling this by adding more and more fact checkers onto the platform. Coming back to the election part of it, I don't know how much of this impact can be controlled, because while you can say that the candidates have to pre-declare their handles and their pages, what happens if they start only declaring some of the dummy pages that they have created, and while the actual work is being done by so many other pages who would be pushing this even beyond the 48-hour deadline. So I really would want Election Commission to work with us and to see what is going to happen over the next 2 months. I'm not so confident that they'll be able to control the spread of misinformation on the platform.
Well, I then want to bring it to the next part of this, which is how political parties then need to be more responsible. And Vineet Goenka, you worked with the BJP IT cell in the past, and the BJP IT cell is very famous for the kind of work it does, or infamous. Are we going to see a bigger problem with the issue of fake news all around this time?
I think probably many parties think that they are only a responsible party, but I think Bharatiya Janata Party's IT cell is quite responsible. At least when I was the national co-convener, we would make sure nothing goes out which makes the country embarrassed. Forget about only the party or it hurts any sentiment. So I feel every individual who writes, whether he is a karyakarta, whether he is a candidate, or whether he is just a citizen, whatever you write, be very careful when you write. You are hurting the sovereignty of this country. If you are writing something which is not correct, will not go well, and Election Commission should come very, very hard on that. And that's why in my individual capacity, if you see, I'm talking about data sovereignty. Let the data be in the precinct of the country, so they can go and hold them responsible. Newspapers, when they carry any article, it's not the advertiser only, but also the newspaper is also held responsible. Same with the platform should be equally responsible for anything which is going on them. It's their responsibility to do the KYC, whether it is A party or B party, whether it is a party which I like or whether a party which I oppose. Anybody does this kind of affair should be booked, should be dealt with very, very strongly. And these Cambridge Analytica types of agencies across the world, they should be put to tax.
So
they should not be allowed to meddle in our elections in India.
What is KYC for platforms?
Along with the person who's doing it, both of them. Whether it is an individual who does it or the platform. So if I put it, me and the platform both. If you see in the newspaper, the advertisement comes in newspaper. Khurishi Sahab may certify, tell you whether it is the person who gives the advertisement in the newspaper, also the newspaper, both have to certify the content before it goes on the newspaper. Same way, the platform and the individual who's doing it, whether he's a karyakarta, whether he's a candidate or a party, along with the platform, everybody should be held responsible. There is a need of training, awareness in the users as well as
it would actually be nice.
Sure,
you have a point, but it would actually be really nice if the people who put fake news out there don't do that, and if it's done in an organized way in particular,
they should be booked.
That's going to put a lot of people behind bars if that is actually the case, especially those who are sort of paid to do that. So Priyanka Chaturvedi, if you are
breaking law of the country, then whatever number of people it may be.
Okay. Priyanka Chaturvedi, how does the Congress plan to sort of counter this? Are you fact-checking everything that's being put out there? The Congress has also been guilty of putting stuff out there, and not as much as perhaps some other parties, but putting stuff out there which may not be verified.
You know, firstly, there is a reason why Vineet Goenka has become a former IT cell head, because perhaps he believes in ethical promotion of his political party rather than through fake platforms and fake news stories or surrogate campaigns. The Congress party has always believed that anything that goes out from our platform has to be fact checked. Could be that, you know, out of the 100 promotions that we do, one of them happens to have some error, which we as humans, we agree, admit to that error and even apologize for it. What we are seeing is an entire different kind of surrogate campaigning coming from the Bharatiya Janata Party side, where they can, you know, continue to disown the entire campaign, but aggressively engage in that campaign to malign the opposition leaders, malign the opposition parties through fake news stories. In fact, there was a story today which said out of the 7 fact checkers that Facebook has brought on board, 3 of them have been known to spread fake stories. So this is the kind of fact checkers that we are even battling with. So the reality is that while the Congress always believed that it is about self-censorship, it is being misused by a principal political party which has made that the fulcrum of its entire political campaign. And that till the time the government does not seek accountability, this kind of surrogate campaigning of fake news does not stop. Accountability coming from even the ministers endorsing such fake news websites like Postcard News does not stop. We are only going to see a lot more encouraging moves coming from this government to build on their political campaign.
I mean, Postcard News is a classic example. But you know, what do you do, Gen Z, when you have a minister who, you know, puts out, let's say, hypothetically, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, you know, a video of a train and says that this is, you know, this new train that we have, which is great, and ends up actually fast forwarding this video footage of another old train and passing it off as the new one. I mean, this is, like I said, a hypothetical example. See, that's fake news too, but it's already gone viral. What can the Election Commission do about something like that?
Well, I'm not sure what the Election Commission can do again in those kind of cases, because you know, many of them came back and said, but you know, that train was actually quite fast. It's just that for effect purpose it was done, and many people genuinely believed that there was nothing wrong with it. Now, how do you respond to people like this, you know, who feel that a video speed can be you know, can be fast forwarded, and you need not be held accountable for that? While you know, this is the challenge that the Election Commission is going to face. It's very easy to say that bring down the posts, you know, pull down the posts. We have, as fact checkers, we have faced where political parties from both sides have charged us, saying that, you know, that we are doing fact checking and we are tagging posts and images and videos that are detrimental to them. Imagine this same kind of backlash even the Election Commission is going to face. Where do you, and fake news is not just about fake news, it's also about very smart opinion being projected as the truth. And how many people on these platforms, whether it is Twitter or Facebook or any other platform, really understand nuance. Now that's going to be the challenge for the Election Commission. It's not just about fake news which is out there, which most of us know, and many of them also get deleted because they are getting fact checked these days.
And I'm shocked you're saying that train thing actually happened. Here I thought I just thought it up. But I want to ask Dr. Qureshi about that on a serious note. That how do you then, I mean, you've seen what Gen Z has warned about. It's a very difficult task for the EC. Also the fact that, as you know, again we saw with Facebook, if 3 of their fact checkers, as Priyanka said, are, you know, dubious, then, you know, what do you do?
No, quite right. You know, first to expect the EC to have a magic wand is unrealistic. Surely EC cannot do many things, and EC cannot check it, which is why they have called all the media platforms on the table to discuss, because if we can't find a solution, let them find a solution.
But how big a factor do you think social media is actually as an influencer?
Very bad, very dangerous, very, as it is, rumors were always dangerous thing in the elections and in any law and order situation. And in today's age of high technology, fast technology, it has become very dangerous, and fake news, the way it is spread. And I entirely agree with Vineet there when he drew an analogy between the print medium and other media. Just as a newspaper is equally responsible for printing the content, similarly, when these people are made accountable, I'm sure they'll find a solution.
But do you think that social media platforms need to be made more accountable?
Sorry, you know, if I may add, for instance, one thing which comes to my mind straight away, that anonymity Now, Twitter anonymity
end the
is
anonymity.
totally unpardonable. I have no business to be faceless and nameless and spread poison. So, the identity should be established, and then everybody should be accountable.
That is interesting. That's,
and also,
a lot of people will debate that. But
you know, it cannot be anybody's case. If you abuse me on television, on print media, I'll sue you. But it cannot be your case that, okay, it is fine if you abuse me on social media, because it is difficult to catch. Difficulty of catching is something else. But the criminality is something which is across, which is why I say social media is also media. Everything should apply to it.
So do you think, that platforms can and should be held more accountable, and this whole anonymity?
So, you know, when you talk about accountability, I don't know if you remember this case where Bazi.com's CEO was arrested because someone sold a CD that had questionable content on the platform, right? We provide a platform for users to engage. We provide a platform for users to have a fun time, right, to take a break. Now, if users misbehave on the platform, we generally work with law enforcement. If they come to us with a lawful request for information on who has posted, you know, XYZ content, we'll be happy to work with law enforcement and share the details of the user. And I can speak for my platform. We take, as part of the registration process, your mobile number, and because your mobile number is linked to a KYC,
so you know
the police,
yes,
yeah. And also what we do is, because our platform works very closely with WhatsApp, every piece of content that leaves our platform, or even if it gets downloaded from our platform, the name of the person who's posted the content, the user handle, and the logo of the platform goes.
Don't punish the platforms for what users are doing.
Exactly, right. I think what's important is maybe platforms take a step to ensure traceability of content. Platforms can do many things, but you can't put the blame on the platform.
And what about,
right? You don't blame Amazon because the product that was sold to you by a third-party reseller was a bad piece of content.
I
right?
want to take that to Vineet Goenka, because he had made that point very strongly of holding platforms accountable. Mr. Goenka?
See, I'll tell you, platforms are not a freebie. They're not doing a social cause. They are a profit-making organization, and the technological solution is available. Every post which has been done can be tagged. Every account which has been opened, there can be a KYC, and KYC can be done as per the government norms. Either Aadhaar can be linked, or your phone can be linked with phone number which is already been done. So you can track the person who is using it. Number two, what you said it. Now you cannot go on and say that we are just a platform for free speech. Then in that case, newspaper news and the television studios can also do the same thing. Let everybody speak whatever they want to speak, and then say that, hey, we are just an integrator. We don't actually generate content. So that is wrong. Two, in fact, I and along with some other colleague of mine, are coming out with a book on data sovereignty, where we should enforce and ask these companies which are making billions of rupees to have the data centers in India, should put an officer who is responsible. We should hold them responsible. Ask them to give a technological solution. If they don't have it, let them, search that answer. On the other side, I'll give you an example. When an individual does it, if it has been sponsored by a party or an organization, then I think we can put the party or the organization as responsible. But if the individual does this act, then probably we should not blame that organization, whether it is Congress or Janata Dal or whether it is TMC or Communist, whatever it is. We should not blame them. I have an example. On 7th July, I was on your channel. If you can just search out, I gave example of a very responsible. I didn't want to take that. I didn't even want to take that. On 7th July, I came to your own channel. I showed one responsible channel coming out with fake news. I showed, it was in Sirana Vasan Jain show. You can just search out. Very, very old channel trying to come out with this thing, and then apologizing that particular thing when Rajvardhan Singh Rathod, exposed that particular thing. So news channels are also responsible. We have to, the society as a whole, whether it is a political organization, whether it is news channels, whether you as an individual or I as an individual, we all should understand.
I think though, I just want to, you're right, but there's a difference between fake news and wrong news, and a lot of times
let me complete one line.
The two are mixed up.
Only one line. One line. So I think, as a responsible citizen, I would say, 125 crore people are going to write destiny of another generation which is going to come. So we all should come together, not allow Cambridge Analytica to meddle with our elections, not allow the people who would try to write fake content, and held this, platforms who are making billions of rupees here. Accountable as we would like to make these individuals
websites like Postcard News from having a free run. Agree with you on all that. Priyanka.
I'm not taking the name because I didn't tell you which the channel. If you would like to name and shame, let me tell you on the 7th of July, I actually took example of NDTV.
Mr. Goenka, this is not
I didn't do that because I don't want to do all that kind of thing.
This is not a personal attack. I don't know why you're getting so upset about Postcard News. Why are you getting so upset? it's known to peddle fake news.
I'm not getting upset over if it is wrong and fake, they should be behind the bars. If they are wrong, they should be behind the bar. But if Cambridge Analytica has been used by some particular party, they should be held responsible. If NDTV and you and I put something wrong, we should be held responsible.
Ministers, please, Mr. Goenka, please. Mr. Goenka, all I'd like to say is, just because it is endorsed by many ministers, does not in any way mean that it is being endorsed by a political party or being funded by it. However, that's a claim that everybody makes, but that's a question mark also on the government. We are talking about the print, we are talking about broadcast. We must understand there are broader guidelines that guide both these sections of, when they post some news, they are also held accountable for it. Now we have an entire new structure of social media platforms which do not hold themselves accountable, but they just consider themselves as a platform to exchange ideas, exchange information. The information could be fake, but they do not want to be held accountable for it. So there has to be some kind of accountability. Self-censorship is clearly not working. So what we need to understand from all these platforms is that, I'll give you my own personal example. When a fake quote was attributed to me with my picture, it went viral within the first 10 minutes of it being posted by one Surrogate Modi supporting page on Facebook. It had over 5,000 likes, 6,000 shares, 7,000 shares, which led to threats actually being given to me and my daughter. So this is where we need to understand the entire enormity of such fake news and fake quotes being attributed, and someone being held accountable for the kind of hate that is being spewed on these platforms. So whilst platforms are coming forward and engaging with fact-checking websites or fact-checking agencies, they need to get more serious about that platform, and also political parties need to take the onus of the entire situation that we face right now.
Okay,
just one fact check.
I am completely out of time. Okay, I am completely out of time. I have to end this debate here. I would be happy to call everybody back, because I think we're going to be talking a lot about social media and its impact on these elections. Dr. Qureshi, let's see how this campaign plays out.